Okay, so I just did a video. Dan here, DD Speed Shop. Just did a video.
You're not even saying it with love anymore. Come on.
They'll let me know in the comments. So I put the gear bender in this thing, and I put it in, and there's a bunch of comments about it, and actually a lot of good ones. I guess there's not a whole lot of videos about installing it or kind of using it. And I was, even when I bought the thing, we actually bought this thing last year to put in Danny's Chevy 2, and then life happened and we didn't use it. But so it's been sitting on the garage floor. I mean, lovingly taken care of. And so anyways, I put it in this thing behind the 400 just because we're going to use it. And originally, when I picked some stuff up a couple weeks ago from John, I needed the adapter, he was talking about, splitting gears and this and that. And a lot of people in the comments were calling bullshit a little bit, or didn't understand it, I guess, maybe a little bit. And so I have an expert here, and we're going to kind of go through it. So I've since put it in this one 100%. I haven't test driven it, but I've wired it and all that. It's super easy. It has a little magic MSD box. I mean, it's got power ground. There's 2 lights, one for it's on and one for it's in overdrive, correct? Like yours goes red, then green?
With no lights on, it's just in limbo. When you call for it, a red light will come on. It says, oh, I'm being called for. Yeah. Then when it applies, the green light will come on.
So when you do so let's just talk split shift for a second. So you're in first gear, you hit it, so it's got a red light, it's on. You're going up at 30 mile an hour.
Well, on my car, I have to achieve about 22 miles an hour for it to apply.
And then the green light will go on?
And that's when it applies. It tells me it's in. Okay. So let's just say you're on the highway and you want to pull out to pass. And, well, you've been driving on the highway for 10 minutes. You don't even remember you got it on. But one glance, oh, I'm in overdrive. So now you want to pull out to pass, maybe just kick it out of overdrive. You barely have to change your throttle. Now you've picked up some gear ratio.
And it's going.
And you just get around the guy.
Because I think a lot of people thought, this is not sponsored by me. I paid for this thing. It's just kind of, a lot of people had a lot of questions. I think it's great. I thought it was just a 4-speed. I thought all you're doing is turning it into overdrive. And it's got a 22% reduction. We Googled that or whatever. And a lot of people are crying in the comments, 700R, 4L80, all these different things. And you know what? I guess there's a time and place for everything, but cashola, like you're saying, the 4L80s are big, heavy ones. Electronic control.
700R's got a crappy first gear. It's so deep. And it's great. If you don't have any power, you'll spin your tires, but try hitting second gear under power. You better be spinning really fast because you lose all the steam when it drops to that, 1.5 points less. It goes from a 306 to, I think, a 167 second gear. Well, that's crap.
And ultimately, this is a Turbo 400 that's got a shift kit and a converter in it, and that's about it. If you did that with a 700R behind this, it would annihilate the transmission. Like, you'd have to spend a bunch of money on it.
So any 400 that's decent takes 500 to 600. Like, it's not challenging. You can find 400s built reasonably. Like, for about $1,000, we all get our 400s done nicely, right? And then converters, turbo converters are everywhere. Yeah, in all different ranges.
$500 buys you a pretty decent converter.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's why I have a stack in the corner. Here, try this one. Oh, it's a little different. Oh, it kind of acts the same. Whatever. Yeah. So,
but meanwhile, 700, you have to go through the whole thing. Yep. And then converters are a fortune for them.
And trans is glass. Yeah. Like, you have to set up the throttle cable correctly, like the
TV cable.
The TV, and
no different than a 4L60.
And you've got a 4-speed.
Yeah.
So you take a 400 with the gear vendors, you got a 6-speed.
Yeah.
Because you have first over, second over, and we were discussing that I think with a 373 gear. First over has got the same gear ratio. In fact, more gear ratio than hitting second gear with a 456 rear end.
488.
Oh, was it? Well, it would have been around a 488 because it was more than a 456. So yeah, it would have been right in around the 488.
So it really smartens the car up down low.
Absolutely. And a lot of times, if you're being a jerk on the street,
that's where the fun is.
Well, I mean, a 488 is great. When you got slicks and you're at the track, you want that 488. But on the street, you're on ice. Yeah. Right? So now, maybe with 373, knocks a little steam out of it early. Ooh, you're locked down. Now you hit first over. Boom. You got all the advantage of that.
But realistically, I mean, if you're playing around the street doing whatever, the top of first gear, you're kind of done having fun, or else you're really looking into being in some trouble there once you start getting the second gear and going from there, right?
What's top of first gear? Like, really, it's 30 miles an hour. So you haven't even broken a law yet. And we're not about breaking a law. Yeah. Right? But there's a lot of places speed limits a little higher than that. Yeah. So,
All right, so we're going to go. So John has his car, so it's a Corvette here, 400-ish horsepower, 373 gears.
Less than 400. It's not my motor. It's the motor that was in it.
Oh, yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, so disclaimer at the bottom, not his motor. But he puts a gear bender, and you mostly did that just for a little bit of highway driving, but just pissed around the street, eh? Like
we
you
were
drive
running
this
to
thing.
Detroit. We were going to Roadkill Nights last year, and we wanted to take the car. And I want to rip on down there in the hot rod. You know, I watch your road trip, right, on your gasser, and I'm like, oh, damn, I want to do that, right? So it had to get a gear bender.
Yeah.
And I could run, you know, on the interstate passing everything.
Yeah.
I got a warning in Minnesota, which was nice. They were really cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, at 3,000 RPM.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have been how much slower at 3,000 RPM.
Yeah.
So,
I'm excited to try it out. Okay, let's hop in this thing and go for a ride around the block.
Yes, let's watch you hop into this thing.
Danny wants to watch. I've never sat in a Corvette. And apparently, bigger guys struggle a little bit.
I should get it ready for you here.
Oh, it is kind of a little on the tight side, eh?
There you go.
Oh, look at you. You're no pro.
It's like a lady getting in with a skirt. There you go.
All right, we'll get back. Okay, so we're out on the in the old industrial park here. So the way it works is there's two kind of buttons there, or lights. So the bottom one's green and the top one is red. So if you kick the switch, the red light went on. That means it's on and you're calling for overdrive. And once it hits overdrive, it'll flash the green one at the same time it kicks in. And you can split gears or whatever. We might have done a couple of little passes there. It is quite sporty because, and it broke the tires, like it swapped the tires going into the gear bender over, eh? And it definitely is fast. When we were driving down the street, it kind of falls into gear a little bit, but under load, it was, you know, I guess it just did it on its own, eh? It was.
Oh, it snaps hard.
Yeah.
Here, let's see if.
So right now,
we're calling for it.
So you're in manual first, calling for it.
And we're not going to upshift. It's automatically going to take it.
It's just going to do it. So that was some fancy footwork because you were in overdrive first over, you snapped it as you hit second, right? You popped second, then pulled it out of overdrive, so it went into real second, and then you can hit it again and go into second over.
Okay, we'll describe it, what's going to happen, and then we'll try to do it again without me screwing up. So, we're going to go into low gear.
Low gear.
We're going to call for the overdrive.
Lights on.
So I'm just going to floor it. And when it hits 22 miles an hour, it'll be calling for the overdrive. Then when it makes enough pump pressure based on the drive shaft speed, it achieves overdrive.
Yes.
Then I'm going to slip it into second, and it's just going to get to second, and I'm going to tap the dimmer switch again.
It's in real second.
And now it drops the overdrive out immediately, and it falls into real second.
Yes.
Then, as soon as I've done that, I'm going to call for it again because it's going to take and because it's flying through second gear.
Yeah, then it'll hit second over.
Yeah, because our gear ratios are now so much tighter.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of having first to second and all a second, now it's going first between, then second will be very short.
You're just keeping it in the power band. You're keeping where the motor is happy.
Yeah.
It's quite, it's a little bit of footwork. So I put mine, I have a button on the shifter.
So if you were a manual, you definitely want that button on the shifter.
Yeah.
So. So there, I was a little slow. I was thinking too much. Let me do this without thinking. It'll be better.
I think people get it, but it just keeps it in the power. It's not like a CVT, but it has that vibe where it's like a snowmobile almost.
Yeah. CVT, that's kind of... Okay, we're going to try this again. This time I won't think.
Yeah, turn your brain off.
Okay. Got too much timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo. Man, Corvette.
I'll put it in overdrive, hammer into first.
So that there, we were going too fast to pull it into first. It would have just been right at the top of first. So you put it in first over.
First over.
And at a roll, you're going.
We're rocking.
So then, for the highway guys, you could be in second over if you wanted to, like if you're trying to roll race or do whatever.
So right now, say you're going down the highway and you want to pass, you knock it out of overdrive.
Just a corner.
In overdrive, out of overdrive. Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah. Well, I just looking at it, I was like, are we gonna? Yeah.
I'm an asshole in a Corvette.
Yeah. You are an asshole in a Corvette. I like it. That does a lot though. So like, if you really, once you learn how it works, you can keep the motor where it's making power.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Absolutely.
And it's a 22%, you know, so it just drops enough and then bam. So the only one you got to really smart for is when you're upshifting it. Like when you're going first over to second, you got to go.
When you hit second, you want to kick it back out of overdrive.
So you got to be second.
And that's what you heard me delaying on. That was a good one.
That was good. So that was, you shifted 3 times, and we're only in second gear.
Yeah. Well, actually, the car shifted 3 times.
Yes.
I shifted once.
Yeah.
I just shifted into second. Oh, and I released the overdrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. It's cumbersome to talk about, but when you're using
you kind of just got to get in there and do it a little bit. But
yeah. And it's a pile of fun.
Yeah.
Because it takes a mediocre car and makes it sporty.
Yeah.
Right? When you're in that 300 to 400 horsepower range, it makes it a ball to drive, you know?
Because it's keeping it right where the power is. Exactly. You don't have that big drop.
Exactly.
Well, we'll go home, we'll kind of talk about it a little bit there, because that's pretty neat. Well worth the money. So in conclusion, this is like MythBusters. So I gotta say, the gear vendor was a lot of money, and we didn't use it, and I thought it was just gonna be for overdrive. Like when I bought the thing, I thought we were gonna have. I mean, you were 488s, you were talking, or 456 in that Chevy too. And I'm like, well, obviously, small motor, high RPM, this and that. So okay, clearly we need the overdrive. I thought we were gonna need the overdrive just to, go for burgers out in Steinbach or something like that, right? So, but now I understand. So from a big horsepower standpoint, it has its thing in drag week, and that's kind of where they're really known, is drag week, right? But from a lower horsepower situation, if you have, like I was telling John on the way back, if you had a motor that was kind of like what this car came with, you didn't build it, it's kind of warmed over, 350, 400 horse, whatever it is. So if you wanted more power, or more acceleration, I guess, not more power, more...
Same thing.
Acceleration. Same thing, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
You would be pulling the motor out and you're throwing, you could throw $5,000 in a small block Chevy and not bat an eye.
Yeah.
Or, for slightly less than that, Canadian dollars here, you're now making that motor feel like it's more because you're changing gear ratio.
Your viewers are going to hate this, but that gear vendors is a power adder.
It is.
It truly is, because when you have multiplication via gear ratio, it gives you more power.
Well, if a car can stay in its power band longer and while still accelerating,
that tire is feeling more torque because it's got more gear ratio between first and second with the split. That tire is feeling more torque. No,
it's real snowmobile-y, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's keeping it in the power band longer. So, no, that was definitely an eye-opener, because I was telling John too, like this Nomad here, we want to get the motor done in it, and I'm kind of not a big fan of the column shift, stick. Danny's not into it, so I was saying, well, turbo 350, but then you don't have overdrive, so then you're in a 700R. I'm not a big fan of those, or you're into an electronic, whatever.
Still only a 4-speed.
It's still only a 4-speed, or we could put you're building the motor. I'll just drop it off whenever we're not, when snow flies. But you get like a 350 horse small block. You put a turbo 350 with a bit of a converter in it, and then you put the gear vendor in it. Danny can drive it every day like nothing. Yeah. And then if I want, you could actually have a little bit of fun with the thing, because I have a 410, 410 gear for it. It becomes way sportier than it really is.
And you fly down the highway.
And it'll cruise.
At the end of the day, it still is what everyone thinks it is, and that's an overdrive.
Yeah.
It makes it so much more fun to drive when you're going slower.
I really feel like this is just an infomercial for gear vendor. You are a good salesman, I tell you. Let me show you here and there. Like I bought it outright. It was cash money. So, but it makes a lot of sense.
It works.
It is. And I see exactly what you did on this.
See, and in our drag week cars, we don't get to enjoy any of that split shifting.
Yeah.
And that wide open throttle, that's none of that's going on. We're just trying to reduce our week by 22%.
Yeah.
So you think about it.
Less wear and tear.
We have this crazy ass motor. We're going 1,000 miles. Well, if 1,000 miles on the highway, we turn the motor 22% less.
Yeah.
We've dropped our mileage by that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means the motor is going to last that much longer.
But you were saying too, so that splitting gears at a certain horsepower level, it's probably not going to have the same effect because it'll now
Too much gear.
It'll ignite the tire and do it.
Yeah.
You almost kind of need to run it out and then start again in the following gear.
Yeah.
That's probably something like 1,000 horsepower.
Those are more sorted out. Fast guys are fast guys.
Yeah,
For the rest of us who are, like you said, 300 to 400, maybe up to 500.
Yeah.
Where the street can still hold on to the power.
Yeah.
Right? That's where this thing is really fun.
I gotta say, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there where you're just not happy with the car. And I've sold cars. You're not happy with the car because you don't want to deal with the motor and this and that. You can put a gear bender in. It makes it feel faster, and then you can now cruise it cross country for the same amount of money as you put in the motor. I mean, instead of aluminum cylinder heads and intake and a carburetor, and you're $4,000.
Absolutely. I mean, I just sold a cam to a guy. I mean, it's $1,000 for cam and lifters.
Yeah.
And that's in Canada, and that's good cam and lifters.
Yeah.
That's not some hokey stuff.
Yeah.
And so really, I mean, every street car that I have moving forward, they'll all have gear benders.
If we're keeping it, I'm kind of, everybody. The internet's going to love this video because they're going to tell you how wrong you are with a 7. I had a 700 behind my 700 horsepower big block, the 4L80s, all that stuff. Like you're going to love the comments.
How did they like hitting second gear?
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. All the wind comes out of it when you hit second gear.
Second over or something else.
Well, first over. Well,
first
but
over.
You're right. Any
Second
one of
over.
them, they were all like ding, 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 and the car's lame.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a killer deal, right? But it's kind of fun.
But this is a really common car a lot of people would have in this, whether it's a Chevy truck or whatever it is, and you can put a gear bender in it, and it really smartens the thing up. I can't believe it. Well, thanks for coming over. Thanks for selling me the motor, the torque converter, the gear bender.
That was all my stuff that I had just stashed away for myself, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this? I don't have enough life to use all this stuff.
You can drive this thing anytime you want. Well, I'll drop it off. You can tune it up. All right, well, thanks for watching. I can't wait for the comments below, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.